Okay, so we are, okay, so we're doing all these push-ups, sit-ups, stand up. On this slanted thing, we would stand up and we were doing jumping jacks. We were doing all our all our exercises uh, and more. And we finished. We would just you had sand down your t-shirt, all in your pants, just everywhere. It was I just remember the feeling of just grit everywhere, and we were sweaty. So we finished, and we were supposed to form up down at the end of all these pyramids of dumped sand, but we were supposed to do the crab walk. And the crab walk is where you get on your back, on your back, and your arms on the ground, and you raised your back up off the ground, and you're walking backwards for the crab walk, all the way down to the end. And you're worn out. Of course, the fat guys can't do it. And so we get down to the end, and the fat guys, the fat boys, are still trying to get there, and they're just trying to, not really, they're just scraping along or not even trying. And so the DI yells at us to take a rest. Of course, that means get in the push-up position. So we get in the push-up, the front-leaning rest position, which is the push-up position. And so we have to stay in the push-up position until they get there. Now we are spent. And so we're shaking, and when we start, if anybody collapses, well then the others of us have to start doing push-ups until he gets there, until he gets back up. Then we can rest, get in the front-leaning rest position, until the fat boys get there. So when the fat boys get there, we form up and we start running back. Of course, they ain't running. When they drop back after, he starts yelling at them to catch up, and yelling at us, wanting to know why they're not catching up with us and holding us at it was horrible. So then we would stop when they were about 100 yards behind, and we'd get to rest, get in the front leaning rest until they got to us. And oh man. And so we ran, and we were all gritty and nasty, and we were just having, I remember having dark thoughts about those fat boys that were causing us all, of course we caused our own pain, all this grief. And so we finally got back up to the company area, to Company Street, and we were running in, so we formed up and looked good running in, at least the platoon did. We weren't looking back at the fat boys, we didn't care about them. We would have killed them if we could. And there were people, so the other guys had just finished supper, and we were late because we were down there. So in different buildings, in different barracks we went by, going up to the CQ, the company building, little building there, and we were shuffling along at a supposedly in formation. Now we looked good. They started laughing at us, and several of the guys in the platoon were fixing to go kill those people because we were spent, mad, and the DI did control us, but there were some real mad people in there. Then they really got us because when they got up there, they told us supper was over, and we didn't get supper. So we didn't, and we were all starving. So we didn't get supper that night. We were nasty, and that was a mess. So that was that. I see a couple other things. 4 minutes, okay. About basic. So I wasn't a squad leader in the beginning, but I don't remember why, but I got promoted to be a squad leader. That was good, except you were responsible for the guys under you. That means making sure they did whatever they needed to do. And I had two Puerto Ricans in my squad that did not speak English. And so when you rotated like your duties, like doing the main, I mean, they could do cleaning the building, they could do latrine duty, like for example, you had to clean the shower, etc., and the urinal. Oh, the urinal. Yeah, it was a long trough, about as long as a couch. And you had to clean it spotless. So what we figured was, the less we used, the less we had to clean. So there was like 2 feet that the platoon, which is about 45 people, could use. The rest of it was never used. So this latter end where it went out, where the drain was, that's where everybody could use. And there were like 5 or 6 toilets, and I believe there was 1 or 2 allowed to be used. So we wouldn't have to stay up all night cleaning those things. It was crazy. Let's see. Oh yeah, the Puerto Ricans. So they couldn't, like, going to do what is it? The mess hall, to go clean up the mess hall and stuff. They didn't kitchen police. They didn't know what that was. I tried to explain that to them because they had KP duty. You would go in there and you would help the cooks. You would clean the pots, and sometimes you would have to clean the grease pit. And you basically ruined your uniform when you cleaned the grease pit. It was about that square and about 3 feet deep, and it was a specific drain in the mess hall where they poured the grease in, that went out there and filled up this pit, and then somebody somewhere came and got the grease out and took it and did something with it, I don't know. But every once in a while you would have to clean it out for some reason. And I guess when they emptied it, some poor guy had to get in there. I know I got that one time, cleaning it out to get all the grease out of it. You can't get all the grease out of the grease pit, no matter how hard you try. Believe me. So you would have to wash the pots, the pans, or peel potatoes, but we didn't have to peel them individually. I did that, I think, one time at the induction center, peel potatoes. But you know, you got 200 or 300 guys with potatoes. They had this big machine. It was like a apple peeler, kind of like, or just like, what's that thing? A mixer, big mixer, because it had a bottom of it that was about a tub about this big, and you threw the potatoes in there, and it did something to them, and it peeled them. You would, take a shovel full of potatoes or a bunch of potatoes and pull in it. It's about like big, and it peeled them, and then you'd have to go back and take the eyes out and stuff. But I've forgotten what all the things. But going to the mess hall was not fun. I remember first going in there, the drill sergeant wanted to know, you had to come to attention when you got to the line. Before you went in, you would have to go through the run, dodge, and jump. You'd run through these, there were posts in the ground that you would have to do an S through those, 5 or 6 of those. Run, do the dodging, and then there was a trench or a little board height. You would have to jump, and then there would be a pull-up bar you had to do pull-ups on, and then you would have to do inverted, that is at a slant, sit-ups or push-ups with your feet up at the top. 10 of those, just before you got in line. Then when you got in line, you need to run, and of course DIs are watching you while you're doing all this stuff. Then when you, and if you didn't do a pull-up with your chin over the top, that wasn't a pull-up. And so you had to do, I think, 10, before you got 10 sit-ups, 10 pull-ups, something, I don't know, something like that, before you could move on the line, to the line. You go get in the line, you stop, you stand at attention, and then go to parade rest. And then when the next person went to attention and took a step forward, and then went to parade rest, and then you would, so the first week or two, that's the way you would move. Attention, take a step, parade, stop while you're attention, then go to parade rest until you moved on through the line. Then when you got to the line, you would pick up your little tray and whatever else, and you would go through the line, and the mess sergeant, who was in charge of and there would be GIs in the back. There was no contract work. There would be GIs throwing food on your plate, and you just went through with your tray, and they had, I guess, a plate on the other side, and they'd slop it on there, and they'd get to the end and hand it to you, and then the mess sergeant would be screaming at everybody, "I want you out of my mess hall," and whatever. And you had, I've forgotten, I don't know if you had a minute But the drill sergeant was walking around. You could not talk, you could not look up, and you had to be out of there rather rapidly. I mean, it wasn't, I'm going to enjoy this. And so then you would have to get out of there because he didn't want you in his mess hall. Of course, you were the reason he was there. And then you would run back to your quarters. So that was the mess hall for the first 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. It was horrible. And you would eat as fast as you can, and then run up there and put your tray in and stuff. And if you looked up or talked to anybody, you were toast. There's no asking for salt, pepper, or anything. You were just slobbering it down and going. And all that relaxed as you went through. So it's 10:43. Should I stop?